banking has a fraud problem that's not new, and it costs clients billions of dollars every year. We are all so used to this now that it's not even shocking anymore. But there is now a simple solution that can eliminate this problem while actually saving banks money. However, banking executives want you to forget about this solution as quickly as possible or just convince you that it won't work.
Goldman Sachs has agreed to pay nearly $4 billion to settle legal action over Malaysia's 1MDB scandal.
Banking giant HSBC has been fined £64 million, roughly $85 million by British regulators for failings in its anti-money laundering processes.
And Wells Fargo has faced steep fines in the past for fraudulent accounts opened without customers' consent.
Regular viewers of the channel will know that I hate dragging out the answer to a simple question for the sake of watch time. So the solution is to force bankers to work from home where they actually have less oversight from managers than authorities. A recent study by the European Journal of Financial Management found that bankers were 5 times less likely to engage in financial misconduct when working from home. There are 3 reasons why this works so well, and 2 infuriating reasons why executives won't let it happen. The first reason is simply because everything done from home goes on record. In America, banks are not allowed to delete most records for 5 years, and that's not just financial transactions and signed contracts. It also includes internal files like emails, meeting minutes, and instant chat messages between employees. A billion-dollar lawsuit was recently settled with major banks that didn't put effective measures in place to stop their employees sending messages via encrypted messaging platforms like WhatsApp that don't leave the required records. There was no way to tell if these bankers were talking about their plans for the weekend or conspiring on an insider trading scheme.
But when it comes to record-keeping matter, we've never seen fines of this size.
Laws vary in other countries, but there's also one record that's impossible to keep track of, and that is InPerson Conversations. There are 3 types of conversations that happen in banks with alarming frequency that make this a serious problem. The first is a bank manager with performance goals that leans on their staff to push new product like a salesman instead of doing what's in the best interest of the client. If you have been unfortunate enough to walk into a bank branch, you were probably offered a credit card, car loan, new savings account, or a refinance on your mortgage. Bank staff are not supposed to do this, but they do it anyway because their managers put pressure on them in private conversations to hit targets that can't be reached without turning the bank branch into a sales floor. The second type of conversation that causes problems for banks is insider trading. Bank staff and staff in other financial service companies are exposed to a lot of material non-public information even at a junior level. It's unavoidable that businesses need to disclose certain information to banks as part of their regular operations, and it's easy for bankers to tell if a company is going to outperform or underperform market expectations on their next quarterly report.
And this is important because in parts of the world where such rules are not enforced, the public lose faith in markets, which both makes it hard for companies to raise money, as no one wants to invest without inside information, but it also prevents the public from earning a good return on their savings by investing, which is bad for the economy.
Insider trading happens all the time because the rewards outweigh the risks. A junior analyst working in corporate services at a bank can earn between $80,000 and $150,000 per year. But if they can trade on a regular stream of inside information, it's possible to make 50% annual returns or more. Just investing $1,000 a year into a portfolio making 50% returns would make you a millionaire in 12 years, far quicker than it would take an analyst to save that money even with their above average salary. They can't act on this information themselves because it is too easy to track. But passing around information through quiet chats after work on a quid pro quo basis is impossible for the authorities to track and even harder to prosecute. When there is less opportunity to mingle outside of official channels, the relationship required to insider trade takes longer to form and carries far greater risk, so people just don't do it. The third type of conversation is just common lies to cover up negligence. Banking is filled with procedures and policies that are practically impossible to get right all the time. People will forget to make disclosures or inform counterparties of something they should have. This is fine, but when business is being done face-to-face, it can be easy for bank staff to lie about missing something when they know there is no record of those meetings. When everything is done through recorded channels, it's harder for staff to get away with a little lie like this, and proper remedies can usually be taken to fix it with no harm done to the bank or the counterparty. Now, I can already hear you saying why you think bank executives are so keen to get back into the office. They want to be able to keep these practices going, but that's not really true. The top executives making decisions about work-from-home policies are far removed from these regular client-facing interactions. According to a study conducted by the Oxford Business Law Blog and Citadel Securities, the group of people most commonly conducting insider trading were junior executives. Senior bank executives and the C-suite are under so much scrutiny by internal compliance and external authorities that it's very hard for them to personally profit from insider trading. Above a certain level, banking executives have to plan their trades in advance with the SEC and make public disclosures about their purchases and sales. They can pass along information to friends and family, but they too are closely monitored. For it to be worth it to people already earning millions of dollars in annual compensation, they would need unaffiliated people to trade millions of dollars, and that too is extremely easy to track. The first real reason why banking executives won't allow a work-from-home model is because the systems in place to monitor staff for misconduct are a little bit too good.
And we use this a lot if we think that somebody on staff maybe is gathering up contacts from the company to maybe start their own competing business. That's where we can make that connection, and we can let the business owner know this is coming down the pipe.
The reason that these quiet conversations happen so often in banks is because it practically never gets prosecuted. There is a not particularly funny joke in finance circles that you should never hire someone who is convicted of insider trading. But it's not because they, broke the law. It's because you don't want anybody stupid enough to actually get convicted of insider trading on your team. When staff are working in an office, misconduct is easy to sweep under the rug, and most of it goes completely unnoticed. When every interaction is monitored, everything has to go through official processes. So what could have been a quiet conversation with a manager turns into something that involves a binder and a compliance department. Banks are struggling with this because higher rates of reported misconduct take staff away from printing business, and it looks bad to stakeholders even though the real rates of misconduct are actually down. Now, so far, this has all been about banking, but misconduct happens everywhere, and there are reasons why nobody at the top wants to fix it. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how we found a simple solution to fraud and why we are going to pretend it doesn't exist. This week's lesson was sponsored by Brilliant. Catching fraud in the banking sector is a complex and vital task, but if there's one thing that can make the process more efficient and accurate, it's understanding probability and statistics. Most banks want to see that their teams understand probability and can apply it to detect fraudulent activities. They need to analyze vast amounts of data and identify suspicious patterns that might indicate fraudulent transactions. Fortunately, Brilliant has you covered. Their whole probability course can help you grasp these concepts, with focuses in various areas including applied probability, random variables and distributions, and even casino probability for a bit more fun. Whether you're actually in a profession that could use it or just curious about how probability works in different scenarios, Brilliant is here to help. Brilliant's approach promotes interactive learning, and they make it fun and easy. It doesn't feel like a dreadful school assignment. It feels like a game, but you're actually learning. Best of all, you can learn from anywhere on your phone or computer. I was recently taking this course while I was riding the train to visit my brother. Stand out in your field and use Brilliant to enhance your understanding of probability and its real-world applications. To get Brilliant for free for 30 days, go to brilliant.org/howmanyworks or click the link in the description, and the first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. The second reason that misconduct fell so significantly when people were sent to work from home is that people are removed from bad influences. In every office, there is always going to be some people that are willing to bend the rules to get ahead or stay out of trouble, but most people do try to do the right thing. The researchers from the study found that the bad behavior of those people was more visible to other staff when they were forced into an office together. Having exposure to unscrupulous peers made regular staff normalize the behavior and become more likely to engage in it themselves. This happens in all companies, and the people in charge of your money are no different, but it's still better than this happening to people in charge of your safety.
We have police officers who are allegedly, during a 10-year period, have been sued for excessive force, for wrongful arrest, for illegal search and seizure over and over again.
A similar study published by the Journal of Nature and Human Behaviors found that a pattern of misconduct from one police officer in a department can quickly spread and normalize misconduct between all officers. Law enforcement should be held to an even higher standard than bankers, but the study found that even when departments were shuffled around in an attempt to stem the transgressions, it often had the opposite effect, with the negligent officers just spreading their bad behavior around their new team in what the researchers called a behavioral contagion. A solution that was found to work, though, was suspending offending officers even for minor breaches, or getting them to do administrative work separate from their colleagues. Whatever your opinion on giving officers that engage in misconduct a paid holiday is, the study still shows how effective giving people space away from their peers is at cutting down on bad behavior. And that's unfortunately the second reason that bankers especially want staff back in the office so much. Bending the rules is a selling point. When questioned about his decision to require all staff to return to the office, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, said that the bank had lost business to competitors that met with clients in person while JP Morgan staff were still working remote.
To build and develop and deepen a relationship on the Zoom world.
There aren't many reasons why an in-person presentation of banking services would be more compelling than a remote presentation, apart from an understanding to bend some rules or overlook some details to get the business done. For big commercial deals like the ones Dimon is talking about, no two agreements will be identical. But speaking from personal experience in the investment banking field, flexibility around internal policies is always a strong selling point for clients. This does not mean that staff meeting with clients in rooms behind closed doors are committing fraud necessarily. More often, they are just able to negotiate more freely and relax internal policies without being anxious that their meeting is being recorded and could get them in trouble. Being in person also lets staff schmooze potential clients with expensive dinners and exclusive parties. It's not supposed to influence the decision of the business executives to choose one service provider or another. But come on, they wouldn't do it if it didn't work. The third reason that companies are ignoring the misconduct benefits of working from home is because they simply have too much invested in their offices. Even the CEO of Zoom recently announced plans to bring all staff back into the office because he was sick of online meetings.
When you have Zoom, the company that arguably benefited more than any other company from the work from home trend itself, saying, you know what, there's probably a benefit to being in person at least a couple days a week. I think that says everything you need to know.
There are so many more advantages to working from home other than just cutting down on misconduct, and some of those reasons are more important to company executives, like the fact that it's cheaper. Go and watch my video on why companies need people back in the office to learn why all these advantages still won't change their mind. If you want to watch these videos a day early and get articles that will never be made into videos for YouTube, then subscribe to my email newsletter Compounded Daily to keep on learning how money works.